Hey there guys, today I have a $750 budget PC build for you today. I put this together on pcpartpicker today and some of yesterday. But to go ahead and get this started off, we're going to start with the CPU, and we have the AMD FX-8320 3.5 GHz 8-core processor. This is a very good CPU for the price. I could have went with a 6300 or a 6350, but honestly, I would rather just have 8 cores than 6 cores, and it's also clocked at a higher speed than the 6300, so you can definitely have a lot more overclocking capabilities with this. I believe it can be overclocked up to like 4.7 gigahertz, and so yeah, really good CPU for the price. It's good for multitasking, streaming, anything you want to do, really involving multitasking, but don't be fooled by that. It's also really good for gaming. And yeah, so that's the CPU. And next up we have the CPU cooler. We have the Cooler Master Hyper TX3 54.8 CFM sleeve bearing CPU cooler. This is only $17, and for the price it's really good. I believe it goes all the way up to 3000 RPM if I'm correct. It is only a fan, not a liquid CPU cooling. Since this build does include an OS, I had to like cut back on some things, but you know, don't be fooled by the reduction in price of some of the parts because of the OS, because it's still a really good build. It should be able to max out games, modern day games, even like Witcher 3 at like 40 to 45 FPS plus, and BF4 at like ultra very high settings, 60 FPS plus. But yeah, this is a really good CPU cooler for the price, and yeah, that's what I went with. Next up, we have the motherboard. We have the ASRock 980DE3/U3S3 ATX AM3 Plus motherboard. It's a $73 motherboard, and it's really good for the $73 because it obviously basically all AMD motherboards support overclocking, but it has I believe 4 2.0 USB ports and 2 3.0 USB ports, and yeah, it's actually a decently sized motherboard, so it'll fit in the case that I put in this. And next up, we have the Corsair Vengeance 8GB, it's 2 sticks of 4GB, and it's clocked at 1600 megahertz. RAM prices are dropping as of right now, and this is one of the cheapest RAM sets, cheapest 8GB RAM sets you can get right now. But don't be fooled by how cheap it is, because it's still a very good set of RAM, even though you won't really notice it while you're gaming. You know, 8 GB is essential for most games right now, but you won't really notice it while you're playing. Even if you do upgrade to 16 GB of RAM, maybe in the future you'll notice it, but not as of right now. So next up we have the Hitachi Deskstar 1TB 7200 RPM internal hard drive. No SSD in this build, unfortunately, because I had to fit the OS and everything in here. But if you don't want to have the OS in this build, you can maybe, like I said, you can upgrade the upgrade to liquid cooling, maybe even add an SSD in there. Both of those really you could probably do with the extra $100 without the OS and the optical drive to install the OS. Yeah, a really good hard drive for the price. It's one of the cheapest 1TB hard drives. Honestly, I was trying to like keep it scrapped to like a budget of strictly $750 and not over. And so this is what I went with. It's obviously not as fast as an SSD, but if you want to get an SSD without the OS, then feel free. Next up, we have the GPU, which I went with the EVGA GeForce GTX 960 4GB superclocked ACX 2.0 Plus video card. And this is a 4GB video card, and that's basically essential for the modern day titles right now, and maybe even future titles if you don't upgrade this within that time, which is actually still a good GPU as of right now. It will probably be for even the new games that are coming in the next couple of months. And it's clocked to, I think, 1.28 gigahertz or megahertz, and you can also overclock it even more if you need to, which really, even at that already, I mean, even being that far overclocked, you might want to, because it's obviously, it's not a modern GPU, but it's still really good for the price, so I definitely recommend that GPU. And next up, we have the case, which is going to be the Thermaltake Versa H2 or H22 ATX mid-tower case. It basically does what you need it to and nothing more. It's not really the nicest looking case. I can show you. Oh, rip. I can show you it if you guys want to see it. It's not really the nicest looking case. There's no window or anything. I didn't want to go for a too expensive case. I wanted to, of course, stick to the budget. And yeah, it's okay for its price. If you want to maybe get something a little bit more expensive and get more out of a case. But yeah, that's basically the case. And next up we have the power supply. I went with the EVGA 600B 600 watt 80 plus bronze certified ATX power supply. You know, you really don't need 600 watts. Obviously, I could have went with the 500 watt, but I decided to go for something that was a well-known power supply brand, and also something that maybe if you want to upgrade your GPU or CPU in the future will still last. And if you maybe want to go for SLI, this will still probably be okay for even SLI, or maybe even upgrading to like a GTX 980 if you want to in the future. But yeah, pretty good power supply for the price. And next up, we have the optical drive. I just went with the Samsung optical drive. This is obviously just to install the OS. You can use a USB if you want to just install your OS. If you have different methods, like I said, just take off the OS and the optical drive. And I went with the Windows 7 Home Premium because I prefer Windows 7. You can add Windows 8 or Windows, I think maybe Windows 8.1 for the same price. Like I think it was like maybe even cheaper, like $87. But yeah, that's basically the build. The show builder, like I said, maxed out Battlefield 4, 60 FPS, maxed out settings or very high settings, and GTA 5, 50 FPS plus at maxed out or very high settings, and Witcher 3, 45 FPS plus, but still a very playable frame rate at maxed out or very high settings. So yeah, that's basically the build. Hopefully you guys did like this video, and hopefully it will help you out, maybe building your first PC or upgrading your PC. And yeah, guys, thanks for watching. See you later.